York's classic rock. Q1043.
With me in the studio, a dear friend. I don't want to say an old friend. That sounds terrible. Just lifelong friend.
Dear old.
Okay, dear old's okay?
Yeah.
The multicolor, multi-technical, multi-talented Mr. Mark Hudson joining us. It's
Nice to be here.
Nice to have people back in the studio.
I know. I'm glad this is like sort of the let's go back to school version today.
When was the last time you were in another studio?
Forever. It's almost, the pandemic has really stopped the music industry for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Like nobody's playing. Not a lot of people are making records. I mean, Billie Eilish, God bless her, made a record in her bedroom with her brother. So being in a studio with musicians hasn't happened in a long time. I said earlier, one more month, I'll have to start pole dancing again.
Yeah, well, there was money in that. It's,
Yeah, but me in a thong, Ken, is not a good picture. It's just not fun to, almost made me want to lose my breakfast just thinking about it.
So many friends who said, friends who've been touring their whole lives, it'll be nice to get off the road. It'll be great. We'll be able to spend time with family. And every single one of them said, if I'm here another week, I'm going to wipe out my whole family and take my own life. Because they've been on the road since they were 17 years old.
I know. And I think it's starting to come back now a little bit. We'll have to see if there's a ramification. I don't know. But, hey, I'm ready.
So are we. We're vaxxed and we're ready for live shows. So we're doing this because March 19th, the Markey Show, Mark Hudson, it is an evening of music and comedy, and that balance is kind of changes all the time. But one of the greatest storytellers you will ever meet, stories behind the scenes. Your life is a rom-com movie.
Well, what the thing is, Kenny, I can only, when I was younger, I could be a liar and devious. And now that I'm older and everything's fallen out and dropping, I can only tell the truth. And so when I go do the Iridium, I just tell my stories about Ringo and Ozzie and Steven Tyler and Hanson before their nards dropped.
Here's the thing. As great as Mark wrote Living on the Edge, working with Aerosmith, my favorite Aerosmith song, working with Ozzie, working with Ringo, making some of Ringo's greatest solo albums, the Scorpions that we play all the time.
Yeah.
But Hanson, really, you had to give the world Hanson. The world needed Hanson.
But you know what the thing is? Look, I'm a defender, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
During that era was when grunge music started to hit very, very heavy. It was all guys in Seattle with plaid shirts and dirty hair. I get it. And I loved Kurt Cobain, and I loved the Screaming Trees. I can list the people I loved. But pop music, as we knew it, went away. And when Hanson came back, bop or not bop, they brought a sense of, I want you back. That thing of the Jackson 5. And they brought that back. And then they learned how to play. Like when I was working with them, Zach, the little drummer, he was a sperm cell. He could play the drums for a while, then he'd get tired and have to take a nap. But they busted their butts, and now they are great. Now, I don't know where an audience is for anybody anymore. I'm a huge Hanson fan. And remember, I came from a brother act.
I forgot that.
See,
That's right, the Hudson brothers.
When they first wanted to work with me, I said no. I went, and the publisher called me. They're these 3 kids. They're from Tulsa, Oklahoma. They're really talented. They harmonize, and they're brothers. And I went, whoa, been there, done that. I don't think. And at that point, I was working with Aerosmith and Scorpions and whatever. And then they said, can you meet them? And they came to my studio, and there they were, these 3 young kids with their dad. And I said, sing something for me. And when they sang, it was like the Bee Gees. Harmonies galore. And I went, you know what? We got a chance to make this work. I'll do it. That was it. Done.
The talent was the thing that won you over, which is the only thing that should win you over.
Well, it's the one thing that Phil Ramone actually, Phil Ramone was my teacher. And for those of you at home that don't know Phil Ramone, all the early Billy Joel records, Barbra Streisand, Frank Sinatra, Paul McCartney, the list, he was like the Pope of pop. And he said to me, song first, singer second, band third. And that song first became, I still don't know what Bop was about, and I don't care. I'm still trying to figure out the Korean boys that shave too close. I don't know what they are, but good for you, guys. Go get them.
Yeah.
It's a free world.
The song is the song,
Song is the song.
And you're going to hear these songs at the Iridium on the 19th. Now, following that up, March 28th, I've seen you do this before. Mark and Gary Burr, they're doing a show called Laurel Canyon.
Yeah.
Have any of you guys seen the documentary on Laurel Canyon? Then you'll understand. There are certain geographical areas. Think of the Haight-Ashbury for the Grateful Dead in the late 60s. Think of the New York folk scene in the early 60s, the punk scene in the 70s. Laurel Canyon was its own form of music.
Its own thing. Crosby, Stills and Nash, Joni Mitchell, Jackson Brown. It just, Mama Cass, the list goes on and on and on. And I figured, now that I'm in the cocktail hours of my life, I can only do so many rock shows and get away with it. Why not do something where you get to sit on a stool with an acoustic guitar, two other guys, and have the harmony be the thing that's driving it? Not the guitar player, not the drummer twirling his sticks. It's the harmony. And fortunately, we can harmonize our butts off.
Well, you know, the Eagles make a couple of bucks doing that on the tour. They seem to do all right.
They seem to do okay, and they're still harmonizing.
It's one of my favorite quotes I read. I got to talk to Henley years ago. I said it was back at the Hotel California, and they were doing their big tour.
Yeah.
And Rolling Stone wrote, they don't so much as play on stage as loiter. They loiter with guitars. And I said, what did you think? He goes, I was really insulted. I was really mad. And then I thought about it and went, well, you know, it's kind of fair. There's a bunch of guys in flannel shirts just doing this.
And nothing's exploding.
No, we don't run.
There's no light show. But incredible songs, boom. Incredible singers, whoa.
Yeah.
And great playing. But look, by the time when Joe Walsh steps up, that's when I go, okay, now we can cause some trouble.
And at least they're smart enough to know that Joe Walsh has to close the show.
Oh, of course.
That Joe is the closer.
He is the end all. And then again, the beauty. Timothy B. Schmidt is a very good friend of mine. I produced one of his solo albums, and when you hear him, I can't tell you why, oh baby, you go, ah, and they sound that way every night.
That's the hard part. You don't understand. Not once, every night.
Oh, I know. Every single night. And that's the difficult part, because the voice starts to go. It was interesting because, when I was, not to name drop, Ozzie Osbourne and I were writing sort of a Broadway show. It took us almost 3 years. No, it's great.
Can you, by the way, can you envision an Ozzie Osbourne Broadway show, Mark and Ozzie? I would pay money. I'd buy tickets right now to see
Yeah, but
that.
it's not about, has nothing, we just wrote, it's some of the best music I've ever written. And I say that from the bottom of my heart. And Sharon wanted us to go see Elton John, who was playing in town, because Elton had done, all of the Broadway shows and, Lion King. And she goes, go see him. So Ozzie and I went into the dressing room, and Elton was there, and he could barely talk. Hello, boys. How's it going? And Ozzie's going like, Elton, you don't sound well. Don't worry about it. So he gives us the wisdom, saying that when you write a Broadway show, you're going to be changing it constantly. I don't like the beginning of the second act, and you got to write. He goes, I don't want to do that. I'm the Prince of Darkness. And Elton goes, get ready for it. But Ozzie, as we left, he went, how's he going to sing? He had no voice. And when Elton got on stage, that thing kicks in that makes the great runner or that makes the great quarterback. It was just like, okay, here I am. Saturday! And
it's there.
Blew it out. And it was like, see, there it is. Elton John. Done. Get over it.
Right. God. Ozzie, your work with Ozzie. I've told you this story before years ago. The Ozzie show on MTV when it was with the Osbournes, and a friend said, "You got to watch this Christmas episode. You got to watch what? Do you just have to watch this Christmas episode?" And they said, Ozzie and who's the girl?
Jessica Simpson.
And Jessica Simpson are going to do a Christmas song, and I literally said to myself, "What lunatic would ever put Ozzie and Jessica?" Oh, hi, Mark. And I'm waving at the screen. Mark, run away. Run away. Jump out the window. Get out of there.
I couldn't get out, Ken. I couldn't get out.
Jessica Simpson and Ozzie, you heard those two voices and go, that's a perfect match.
And it was like, sleigh bells ring. Like Ozzie was doing Ozzie. That's all he can do because that's what makes him incredible. And then she was whatever that she was. But the combination was so not right, it kind of became right.
Yeah, it's so
if that
awkward
makes any sense.
Yeah, no,
you
it's
know?
what a great producer does to me, and it's what Glyn Johns was up here for a while. Russ Titleman, our dear friend
Who I
whom we
love.
know. And what I've asked all these guys, I'm going to ask of you. Producing a new band or new thing, it's easy to say, do that. Don't play the drums there. Don't fill in. Wait, you need another chorus there. When you're dealing with world-class talent that are lifelong talents, how do you tell somebody on that level, guys, I don't think that song is that good, or I don't think it's ready, or that's not what I think? How do you say that to somebody with a zillion records?
Well, you see, it's a difficult thing as a producer because it's your job to do that. And then all of a sudden you're looking at Ozzie Osbourne or Steven Tyler or Ringo Starr or whatever. And that becomes a delicate line. You can't just go, that's really wrong and you suck. They have a history of greatness. So you have to go in, not with kid gloves, because most of them, it was weird. On the song that Ringo and I wrote with Gary Nicholson for George Harrison, Never Without You. And Eric Clapton came to play on it. And there was a thing in the bridge, and Eric Clapton looked at me and said, Mark, what's that thing you're playing in the bridge? And I actually laughed out loud, like, really? You are asking me what a chord change is? He goes, yeah, I want it. And a lot of those guys that are that big, they want to have, that's what makes them work, is, hey, what about this? No, don't do that. And that's what it is. When Paul McCartney played on Ringo's record, he was playing bass. And I'm like, where's Waldo? I'm sitting at Paul's house. He's out there with his Hofner. Ringo's right next to me, and Jeff Emmerich is engineering. And I'm thinking, what's wrong with this photograph?
Right.
And it was
Who
me.
doesn't belong in the room?
Yeah, and it was me. And Paul was out there, and it was a song from Vertical Man. What in the world can I do living in a world without you? Paul plays bass, and Paul and I sing background. But there was a C chord that he kept hitting a C sharp. And I looked at Ringo and I said, Ringo, every time he gets to that one chord, he's playing a C note instead of a C sharp. And Ringo goes, I'm not going to tell him. And I look at Jeff Emmerich, and Jeff Emmerich just shakes his head like, not me. So it was up to me. And it's Paul McCartney, like, Sir Paul McCartney, my reason for existing is, and I have to do this. So I turned into Woody Allen and kind of like pressed the button, Paul, yeah, sure, Mark, what? And he started thumbing me. What is it, Mark? What? And I went, you know that one chord and you're hitting a C sharp? Yeah, C sharp, it's good. I went, it's supposed to be a C. And I was waiting for him to go,
Who the hell do you think you are?
Do you know who you're talking to? And he went, oh, yeah, great. And that's, the great guys want to know what keeps them great. Now, it's difficult to go in and say, by the way, that song you wrote really sucks. But you have to have my friend Nile Rodgers tells a story about David Bowie on Let's Dance. And David Bowie brought him the song, and it was a ballad. Let's dance.
Really?
In the moonlight. And Nile Rodgers said, like, wait a minute. This could be...
We could funk this up.
We could funk, and he did. And Bowie, once again, said, oh, great. And they jumped on it. A lot of times it's the medium guys that get pissed off.
Right. The ones who aren't sure. If you're insecure, it becomes a...
Well, all of them are insecure anyway. I mean, that's the one thing that I never really understood is like, how can they be insecure when they virtually are the reason why we all copied them? But they still have that thing of, I'm not good enough, or have I lost a step? And I think that's the thing that drives all of us forward, I think.
Well, The Edge said once, he said, every album we make, every tour we start, I always think, are we Spinal Tap? I always feel every song we've ever done is one step away from Spinal Tap. And it isn't until we play it live in a stadium or wherever we are where I go, oh, thank God it's okay. I'm always convinced we suck.
Yeah, I'm not really sure, too, Ken, whether that's insecurity or whether that's a motivation to keep their art moving forward.
Right. That if you ever rest on your laurels.
Yeah,
you'll
and
know
your
you're dead.
Hardee's.
Yeah.
For you
Very
young,
good.
older people out there,
Very good.
your laurels and Hardee's. It's Mel Brooks. To be able to push an artist, it was weird because Steven Tyler asked me to re-record Dream On.
Whoa.
And he goes, I want you to do it exactly like the record, so that I can sell it to commercials or whatever.
Right.
So I got all of the Yo guys in L.A. Lawrence Juber's on guitar. And he goes, Mark, that one note's kind of out of tune. I said, well, then play it out of tune. So we recreated the song exactly like Dream On. And then Steven was going to sing it. And I went, Steven, I don't know if you know this, but on your first album, you sounded like a sheep. What? What are you talking about? You sounded like a sheep. He goes, you're crazy. And he swore at me. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. I said, listen to it. And then you hear, every night I sit. And he goes, oh, my God. Oh, my God. I was a sheep. I said, yeah, well, you're not bad. He pissed him off. And then he goes, let's go. He goes, let's go do it. And I swear on my daughter, he went into the vocal booth because he doesn't sing like, he developed his voice into becoming like Steven Tyler, most incredible rock singer on the planet. But he wanted to recreate it. So he did. He hit himself every night. He was pounding his chest so that he would have that tone. And guess what? He did it. And that's what the difference is, because he cared. It's not just like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to go play a round of golf, fix my vocal. These guys really care. They really care.
Mark Hudson. Great stories, which you're going to get at Mark's show at the Iridium March 19th. Special guest stars. I think Billy J. Kramer might stop by. And
you never know who's going to stop by. That's
for sure. Anybody. And the Laurel Canyon show. Try to get to both if you can. This at City Winery, March 28th. The harmonies, all of CSNY, of Joni Mitchell, that whole world.
All the stories.
Yeah, John Phillips. It's, as they said in the documentary, everybody, you kept your doors open and somebody just walk in your kitchen with a guitar.
And start playing.
Want to hear something? And you've all figured it out together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mark Hudson, love you. Great to have you back.
I love you too, Kenny. It's whenever I get to be with you, it's never like working.
Oh, thank you.
No, I mean, it's like
way.
being at a Starbucks with someone I want to punch. But I mean that with love.
And for you guys watching this, check out the podcast, Ken Dasho's Beatles Revolution, and Breakfast with the Beatles Sunday mornings, because we are going to talk about the documentary, Get Back, coming up.
New York's classic rock, Q1043.